To be completely frank, PvP in this game can be really messy, especially if you don't know what works, and even more especially when the official information is completely missing or even incorrect. The goal of this video is to clarify and to condense all the necessary basic information needed for anybody to easily and to quickly implement into their gameplay with as little hassle as possible. In this video, I divided this information up into 5 different sections. 1. Preliminary info and shields. 2. How to combo. 3. Emergency escapes and armor. 4. Target lock-in and anti-airs. And 5. The most important free-to-play weapons. Without further ado, let's begin. Section 1. Preliminary info and shields. When a PvP fight is initiated, players gain a non-elemental shield, just like what the NPC bosses have. Wanderer shields will reduce the damage taken, and can even be refilled by landing attacks on the enemy, just like you would with the discharge and ultimate meter. But more importantly, these shields have 2 more effects. When broken, the target is stunned for a long time, allowing you to dump huge amounts of burst DPS onto them at full power, and potentially killing them right then and there. But even more importantly, and not mentioned in any in-game texts, these shields provide basic levels of super armor, allowing you to power through the weaker CC effects. It's important to keep this in mind, as it heavily affects how you can combo your opponents in the arena. Section 2. How to combo. In short summary, comboing is all about using as many attacks with CC effects as possible. The types of CCs can be divided into 2 categories: basic CCs and debuffs. There are 4 main types of basic CCs: launch, knockback, knockdown, and suspend, which is also described as knock into the air. There are also 4 types of debuffing CCs: slow, freeze, paralyze, and stun. This is where PvP gets tricky, and it's primarily the fault of the translators and the localization team. As previously mentioned, Wanderer shields will provide basic levels of super armor and immunity to weaker CC effects. This means that if a CC effect does not strongly launch, knockback, knockdown, or suspend the target, that CC will have no effect on a shielded Wanderer, and a lot of this game's weapons are missing this strongly text effect in their descriptions. And sometimes, the game text will completely neglect to mention that specific attack commands will even have a CC effect on them to begin with. Unfortunately, there is way too much information to cover for the proper CC effects on all weapons, so we'll have to skip this and pretend that all weapon text descriptions are correctly written for this video. The launch CC. The enemy will be pushed and fly back a distance. This is primarily an interrupt action or a combo finisher, due to the difficulty in following up on this CC. The knockback CC. Primarily found on bows, the enemy will stagger backwards when hit with this effect, interrupting their animations. Almost all knockback effects are strong, and will affect a shielded Wanderer. The knockdown CC. The enemy falls to the ground where they are standing. It works primarily as a good interruption CC to prepare your next attack. The suspend CC. The enemy is lifted in the air until the combo is dropped or until they escape. Targets must wait for 2 seconds before attempting to dodge out of this status. If they are caught again while dodging, they are unable to make any more dodge attempts to escape out of this status, and are now at the complete mercy of their attackers. This CC is the primary go-to effect for combo crafting. As long as combo attacks are fast enough and have a basic level of hit stun, i.e. they're able to flinch basic mobs like the hyena scouts, targets can be comboed and suspended for up to 20 seconds before they drop back to the ground. The staff, with its powerful tracking and long CC animations, is one of the most powerful weapons to use for combo looping when it comes to the strongly suspend CC status. The slow debuff reduces the target speed, which is divided into both movement and attack speed. It's especially great for setting up your next attacks if attack speed is what being reduced. The freeze debuff. Targets are frozen in place, usually for a full 2+ seconds. This is usually the go-to debuff for setting up a powerful DPS combo. The paralyzed debuff. Targets are unable to act, usually for 1 second. It usually comes with the Volt weapons, and removes and blocks buffs for a short period of time. This debuff cannot be cleansed. The stun debuff. Targets are unable to act, with varying times, ranging from 0.5 seconds to 3 seconds. This debuff cannot be cleansed. Section 3. Emergency escapes and armor. Just as there are combos, there are also methods to get out of them, or to prevent them from happening in the first place. In this section, there are 2 emergency escape methods that are available to everybody, and some examples of hyper armor to keep yourself safe from being caught in the first place. Part A. Emergency escapes. Emergency escape number 1, the Magnetic Pulse Relic. It can be activated while being comboed, granting you hyper armor and immunity to debuffs. Emergency escape number 2, discharge skills. If you have an ultimate stored up and ready, you can activate these skills at any time, even while you're under attack. It should be noted that even if you activate any emergency escape method, if you're under the effects of paralyzed or stun, you'll still be immobilized from those debuffs. And even worse, you'll probably have wasted the resources required to have activated these emergency escapes, emptying out your ultimate meter or putting the skill on cooldown. Part B, Armor. In this game, some attacks and skills will grant you hyper armor that'll let you juggernaut your way right through enemy attacks, which will usually be indicated by a golden glow on your character. If not, it will be described in the skill description as immunity to hit stun, and or immunity to control effects. Examples of such hyper armor include Mael's Whirlwind and Blizzard attacks, the Magnetic Pulse, and Coco's Sanctuary skill, which also happens to act as an emergency escape. It should be noted that immunity to hit stun only grants basic immunity to basic CCs like Suspend, Knockdown. You can still be debuffed through your armor, so stuns and other such effects are fair game. Also, similar to the unwritten super armor provided by Wanderer's shields, most skills will grant you immunity to hit stuns of the strongly variety. For example, you can use Huma's shield and axe conversion skills to power your way through the staff's strongly suspend effects of their focused assault. Section 4, Target Lock and Anti-Airs. Some attacks in this game will actually have an infinite range, which is only limited by your target lock on your enemy. You can force the target lock to home in on an enemy at greater distances than normal, simply by tab changing your targets. By doing this, you'll now have access to even longer ranged attacks than normal, opening up even more ways to fight. You may have to refresh your target lock every time you want to attack at these kinds of extended ranges though. By the same token, this is also the same counter method needed in order to catch and swat down those jetpack runners in the arena. So no matter the loadout that you choose to be running, always be sure to bring at least one lock-on attack method into the arena. Examples of attacks affected by the lock-on range include the bow's arrow rain, Nemesis' skills, charged and dodge attacks, the staff's plunge attack, and the focused assault combo, with the focused assault having a limited horizontal range but unlimited vertical range. Section 5, the most important free-to-play weapons and relics. Unfortunately, Tower Fantasy is in the end a gacha game. That means there is a remote possibility that you may only ever get 1 or 2 different types of SSR weapons, and literally nothing else. In such a horrifying scenario, you'll still have access to some invaluable tools that are available to everyone, regardless of your horrible luck. The most important tools that you'll have access to are A. Pepper Staff, B. NA's Hammer, C. the Magnetic Pulse, and D. the Space-Time Rift. A. Pepper Staff. Although Pepper lacks the same defensive capabilities as her SSR counterpart, Coco, she still retains the range and combo control that the staff provides, simultaneously giving you access to powerful combo opportunities, as well as 2 different types of anti-air attacks to keep yourself from getting locked out by a jetpack runner. B. NA's Pummeler is a very powerful combo weapon, having access to multiple strong suspend CCs, a powerful passive stun effect, strong tracking on an ultimate for an easy catch, and some basic hyper armor to help you power your way through the hardships coming ahead. When the hammer's stun capabilities are used properly in conjunction with the staff, you'll have access to some guaranteed and potentially deadly combos, capable of turning unfavorable fights back in your favor. C. The Magnetic Pulse is arguably the best relic they can bring into a PvP fight. On top of the ability to save you from any dire situation on a fast cooldown rate of 35 seconds, you can even use it in an offensive manner by activating its hyper armor to create an opening for you to launch an attack. It also has the added bonuses of slowing down targets and removing their buffs. It's both extremely useful and flexible in its uses. D. The Space-Time Rift. By itself, the Space-Time Rift relic can be easy to deal with, and it probably wouldn't hold an MVP spot in most people's lists. However, when used properly by a combo master, it becomes a devastating weapon capable of literally crushing your enemies to death. It also has a total damage output of around 1400 through 1800% damage, which is really nothing to be scoffing at. But more importantly, it will restrict enemy movements and hold them in place for you to let your combos rip on them. This is even more important for a very, very unlucky free-to-play player that might be able to obtain anything but 0 SSR weapons. Free-to-play SR ranked weapons have roughly half damage output of SSRs, so simply killing an enemy literally becomes twice as hard as opposed to having access to the best SSR weapons at your disposal. However, combos enabled by the space-time rift are potentially capable of 100-0ing the target during the 15 seconds that the black hole is active, even if the only DPS weapons you have access to are SR-ranked weapons such as NA's hammer. And that concludes my lesson on some of the basic information that you'll need for PvP in order to get started and hit the ground running. There is more information that I could have fleshed out and elaborated on, but I've already packed and condensed as much information as I could into this video in order to make it easy as possible to understand. And even then, that's almost too much. And so, I'll conclude this video here. Perhaps I can quote a favorite stratagem of mine as some parting words. Let's see. There's no need to fight if you can hunt instead. So happy hunting.
Evil will never win. Thunderous strike! Justice prevails! My thunder! This is your punishment! Punish all evil! Judgment Day! Thunderous strike! Ha!